Welcome to our deep dive, everyone. We'll be exploring Ikigai.
Ikigai, yeah.
Which is, this Japanese concept that really seems to guide us towards living a life full of purpose and joy.
Yeah, and it's something that I think a lot of people are searching for these days.
Absolutely, and we'll be drawing insights from the book Ikigai, The Japanese Secret to a Long and Happy Life.
Oh, great book.
It is a great book.
Yeah.
And it delves into the lives of those Okinawan centenarians.
Fascinating.
Who just, seem to have that secret sauce
They really do.
of a long and fulfilling life.
Yeah,
So we're hoping to kind of glean some of that wisdom today.
absolutely. And I think one of the key takeaways from the book is that Ikigai isn't some far-off destination.
Right.
It's something that we can cultivate every single day.
Okay, so
Yeah.
let's just get right into it then. What exactly is Ikigai? I think a lot of people think it's like their dream job, that thing that gets them out of bed in the morning. Is it broader than that?
It's definitely broader than just a career, although work can certainly be a part of it. The book describes it as this kind of like a Venn diagram,
Okay.
where you have these overlapping circles representing what you love, what you're good at, what the world needs, and what you can be paid for.
Okay.
And that sweet spot right in the middle where all of those circles intersect,
Uh-huh.
that's your Ikigai.
Okay, so it's not just one thing.
Right.
It's kind of like finding that perfect recipe.
Yeah, it's that beautiful harmony between your passions and your contributions.
Your inner passions and how you're bringing that to the world.
Exactly.
And is it something like, I think some people think of it as like you find your Ikigai and then you're good. You're set. Is that the case? Or is it more of a constantly evolving thing?
I love that you brought that up. It's not a static destination.
Okay.
It's a journey. And it's about continuously exploring and refining that understanding of what brings you joy and purpose.
So it's less about finding it and more about cultivating it.
Exactly. Cultivating it throughout your life.
Okay, so it's a practice,
It is.
not a destination.
Absolutely.
Okay. Now, one of the things that the book digs into is the lives of these Okinawan centenarians.
Yes.
And one of the things that they highlight is this practice of hara hachibu. Does that ring a bell?
Oh, absolutely. It's the 80% rule of eating.
Okay, tell me more about that.
So basically, it's this idea of stopping eating when you feel about 80% full.
Okay,
And it's so ingrained in their culture.
interesting.
And they believe that it plays a significant role in their longevity.
So it's not just about what you eat, but how you eat.
Precisely. It's about mindfulness,
That's really interesting.
even when it comes to food.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
it makes you wonder, what other kind of daily habits that they have
Right.
that contribute to this long and healthy life.
Absolutely. And the book also dives into their diet, which is full of nutrient-rich foods, lots of vegetables,
Okay.
fruits, oily fish, things that are known for their health benefits.
So very different from a lot of, the processed foods
Yeah.
that we find in a lot of modern diets.
Absolutely. It's a more natural whole foods approach.
Right. In the book, they actually highlight a story of a 101-year-old Okinawan woman
Oh, I love that story.
who attributes her long life to a plant-based diet and a love of dance.
Yeah, that's Ikigai in action right there.
That's a great example. It's not just about living a long time. It's about
lived a vibrant life.
living a vibrant life. Exactly.
Of joy.
And, that makes me think about the concept of flow.
Oh,
Have you ever experienced that?
many times. Flow is that feeling of being completely absorbed in what you're doing, where time just seems to melt away.
It's like you're in the zone.
Exactly. And you're completely present and engaged.
I find that I get that a lot when I'm working on creative projects.
Yes.
When I'm really into it
It's a wonderful feeling.
and I just lose track of time.
And it's interesting because that concept of flow is closely linked to Ikigai.
Okay, how so?
Well, when you're in a state of flow, you're fully immersed in what you're doing. And that sense of purpose and joy that comes with it. That's a key element of Ikigai.
So finding activities that lead you to that flow state can help you get closer to your Ikigai.
Exactly. It's a pathway
Okay.
to discovering what truly lights you up.
So how do we achieve that more? Are there any specific strategies we can use in our daily lives to tap into that flow state more often?
The book highlights a few key strategies. One is choosing tasks that challenge us but not overwhelm us.
Okay. So it's about finding that sweet spot.
Yes, that balance between being engaged and being frustrated.
So pushing yourself, but not too hard.
Exactly. Another important strategy is minimizing distractions.
Okay. So you're saying, like, put away your phone, turn off notifications.
Yes. Create a space where you can really focus on the task at hand.
So it's about being intentional about creating that environment.
Absolutely.
Where you can focus.
And setting clear objectives can also be helpful.
Okay, so having a goal in mind.
Exactly. Having a roadmap.
Okay, so challenge yourself, minimize distractions, have a goal in mind.
Those are some great starting points.
Great.
Yeah.
Now we talked about flow, and how it can kind of lead us to Ikigai.
Yeah.
But what about those times when life just throws us a curveball?
Yeah. Yes. Life is full of challenges.
How does Ikigai help us navigate those tougher times?
That's where the concept of resilience comes in. And the book delves into some really interesting practices that can help us build resilience.
Okay, I'm all ears.
Well, one of the things they emphasize is the importance of mindfulness practices.
Okay.
Things like meditation and breathing exercises as powerful tools for calming the mind and enhancing our emotional resilience.
So it's about finding that inner peace even when things are chaotic around us.
Exactly. It's about creating that space within ourselves
I like that.
where we can find stillness and clarity.
So even just taking a few minutes, each day to do some deep breathing or meditation can really make a difference.
Absolutely. Every little bit counts.
Yeah, this makes me think of some Japanese cultural philosophy.
Oh, yeah. Like what?
Yeah, like wabi-sabi.
Yes. The beauty of imperfection.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And Ikigai.
Cherishing each moment as unique.
Yeah. It's amazing how these tie into the concept of Ikigai.
They really do. They remind us that it's not about striving for some unattainable ideal of perfection.
Right.
It's about appreciating the present moment, accepting life's transient nature, and finding joy in the simple things.
I love that. It's a shift in perspective.
It is. From focusing on what we lack to appreciating what we have.
Okay, so we've been talking about, all these great things about Ikigai.
Yeah.
But let's get real. Life isn't always sunshine and rainbows.
That's true.
We face setbacks and disappointments. So how does Ikigai help us navigate those times when things just aren't going our way?
That's where resilience comes in. And even more so, anti-fragility.
Anti-fragility.
Yeah, have you heard of that term?
I have, but I'm not sure I fully grasp it.
Well, it's a term coined by Nassim Nicholas Taleb.
Okay.
And it goes beyond resilience. Resilience is about bouncing back from challenges. Anti-fragility is about actually benefiting from stress and disorder.
So it's like getting stronger because of the challenges you face.
Exactly. It's like a superpower.
Okay. But how do we cultivate that superpower? Where do we even begin?
The book outlines a 3-step approach.
Okay, let's hear it.
First, create redundancies in your life.
Redundancies.
Yes. Don't rely on just one source of income or one skill set.
Okay.
Diversify your interests, your skills, your social networks.
So spread the risk.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Don't put all your eggs in one basket.
Makes sense.
Okay.
Okay, what's the second step?
Balance conservative bets with small risks.
So play it safe in some areas, but step outside your comfort zone in others.
Precisely. Find that balance between stability and growth.
Okay. And the third step?
Elimination.
Elimination.
Yes. Identify the things in your life that make you fragile.
Yeah.
The habits, the relationships, the situations that drain your energy and hold you back.
Got it.
And then work on eliminating or at least minimizing them.
So it's about decluttering your life.
Exactly. Creating space for the things that truly matter.
Things that align with your Ikigai.
Precisely. The things that bring you joy and fulfillment.
Wow, this is all so insightful.
It is a fascinating topic.
It really is. We've covered so much ground already.
You have.
But before we move on to the next part of our deep dive,
Okay.
I want to pause and just reflect on what we've learned so far.
Sounds good. What are some of the key takeaways that are resonating with you?
I think for me, it's the realization that Ikigai isn't this one-time thing. Like you find it and then that's it. It's a journey.
It is.
It's a constant exploration and refinement.
I agree. And it's not just about finding a job we love.
Right.
It's about infusing every aspect of our lives with intention and purpose.
From our daily routine to our relationships to our creative pursuits.
Exactly. It's about living a life that feels both meaningful and fulfilling.
And I think that's a great place to leave our listeners for now.
I agree.
So I want to pose a question to you, dear listener.
Okay.
What activities make you lose track of time? What are those moments when you feel completely absorbed and energized?
Think about those experiences.
Because they hold valuable clues to your own unique Ikigai.
Absolutely.
And we'll be back in the next part of our deep dive
Yes.
to explore even more practical strategies and inspiring examples
Can't wait.
of how to cultivate Ikigai and live a life brimming with purpose and joy.
Stay tuned. Welcome back to our exploration of Ikigai.
You know, we left off talking about flow
Yeah,
and how powerful that state can be.
absolutely.
But I think a lot of people think of flow as like those big moments, you know, when you're working on some big project
Yeah,
and you just get lost in it.
right.
But the book actually introduces this really interesting idea of microflow.
Oh, I love that concept.
Tell me more about that. What is microflow?
So microflow is essentially finding those little pockets of flow in everyday activities.
Okay, so it's not just about those grand moments of inspiration.
Yeah, right. It's about finding those like little nuggets of joy. Exactly. In the everyday mundane things.
So even like, you know, making your bed in the morning
Yeah, or cooking dinner.
or having a conversation.
Absolutely. If you approach these tasks with intention and focus, you can actually experience those little bursts of flow.
That's so cool. So it's about shifting our perspective.
It is.
And seeing those opportunities for flow, even in those like, you know, what we might consider mundane tasks.
Exactly. And when we start to see those opportunities,
Yeah.
our whole life can start to feel more fulfilling.
It's like a mindset shift.
It is. It's about finding the extraordinary in the ordinary.
I like that. And, you know, this whole idea of microflow, it actually reminds me of another concept that the book talks about, which is the power of rituals.
Yes. Rituals are such a powerful tool.
And I think when people hear the word rituals, they might think of something very formal or elaborate.
Yeah.
But really, when we're talking about rituals in the context of Ikigai, it's more about those simple everyday practices.
Exactly. Like making your bed every morning or taking a few minutes to meditate before you start your day.
Or, you know, having a cup of tea in a certain way.
Exactly. It's about creating these little anchors in your day
Okay.
that help you feel more grounded and connected.
And those rituals don't have to be complicated.
You're at all.
It's more about the intention behind them.
Exactly. It's about being present and mindful in those moments.
And it's interesting because the book connects these individual rituals to a sense of community.
Yes. And social connection is a huge part of Ikigai.
Right. They talk about the Okinawan centenarians and their strong social bonds and this concept of moai.
Moai, yeah.
Yeah.
These are essentially groups of friends and neighbors who support each other throughout their lives.
It's like having a built-in support system.
Exactly. And it gives them a sense of belonging and purpose.
It's a reminder that we're not meant to go through life alone.
We thrive in community.
And it's not just about socializing.
Right.
These moai often have a shared purpose.
Like helping each other with work projects
Or pooling their resources.
or just gathering to share meals and stories.
So it's about working together and contributing to something larger than themselves.
Exactly.
And, you know, that brings us to another key element of Ikigai, which is the connection between our individual purpose
Yes.
and our contribution to the world.
Our work.
Okay? Because for a lot of people, work feels like just that work,
It can feel like a grind.
a means to an end, not necessarily something that brings them joy.
Right. And I think that's where a lot of people get stuck.
So how do we change that? How do we find work that feels more aligned with our Ikigai?
Well, the book encourages us to reframe our perspective on work.
Okay.
Instead of seeing it as just a job, see it as an opportunity to express your talents and make a meaningful contribution.
Okay, so it's about finding that intersection
Yes.
between our skills and passions and the needs of the world.
Exactly.
And is it something that we just stumble upon? Or is it something that we have to actively seek out?
I think it's a little bit of both. Sometimes we stumble upon it, but I think it's also important to be proactive, to explore our interests, develop our skills, and seek out opportunities that resonate with our values.
So it's an ongoing journey
It is.
of self-discovery
Absolutely.
and exploration.
And what's interesting is that our Ikigai can evolve over time.
Right. What might have felt like a good fit 5 years ago might not feel right anymore.
Exactly. We change, our interests change, our priorities change.
So it's about being adaptable.
Yes. And being open to new possibilities.
The book actually gives a great example of this concept through the stories of Takumi.
Oh, yes. The Japanese artisans.
Exactly.
Who dedicate their lives to mastering their craft.
And they don't really see retirement as an end to their work,
Right. They see it as a continuation.
a chance to keep refining their craft.
Maybe at a different pace.
Yeah.
But the passion is still there.
And it's so inspiring to see that level of dedication and passion.
It really is.
But not everyone can be a Takumi.
Of course not.
We have other responsibilities and commitments. So how do we find that balance? How do we cultivate that sense of purpose and joy in our work, even when it's not our dream job?
That's a great question. And I think it's important to remember that Ikigai isn't about finding the perfect job.
Okay.
It's about finding those moments of joy and purpose in whatever we're doing.
So even if we're not, a renowned artisan, we can still find those little sparks of Ikigai.
Exactly. Whether it's through our work, our hobbies, our relationships.
It's about bringing that intention and mindfulness to everything we do.
Beautifully said.
This has been such a fascinating conversation.
It really has.
I feel like we've only just scratched the surface.
There's always more to explore.
But we are going to have to wrap up this part of our deep dive.
Okay.
But before we move on to the final part, I want to leave our listeners with a question to ponder.
I love it. What's the question?
What are some of your core values?
Oh, that's a good one.
What truly matters to you in life?
Take some time to really reflect on that.
Because your answers to those questions will be valuable guideposts as we continue our exploration of Ikigai.
Absolutely.
So stay tuned for the grand finale, where we'll delve even deeper into practical strategies for cultivating Ikigai and creating a life that feels both meaningful and fulfilling. Welcome back to our final exploration of Ikigai. We're ready to wrap this all up.
Yeah, we've talked about the concepts, the tips, even those amazing Okinawan centenarians.
Yeah, it's all been so fascinating.
Really inspiring, too.
It is. And now I think it's time to answer that big question. How do we actually live a life of Ikigai?
Yeah, how do we put all this into practice?
Right, because it can feel kind of overwhelming.
It can. We've got all these ideas swirling around.
Right, where do we even begin?
Well, remember that question we left you with? What are your core values? What truly matters to you?
Yeah, that's a good starting point.
It is, because those values are like your compass.
Okay.
They guide you towards your Ikigai. They help you make choices that are aligned with what's truly important to you.
And the book actually connects those values to the 4 key elements of Ikigai.
Right. Passion, mission, vocation, and profession.
Okay, let's break those down. Passion, that's like the fire in your belly, right?
Exactly. It's what gets you excited.
Yeah.
What you do, even if no one was watching or paying you.
What you do just for the pure joy of it.
Exactly.
Okay. And mission, what's that all about?
Mission is about your contribution to the world. What impact do you want to make?
Like, what's your unique purpose?
Exactly.
Okay, so we've got passion and mission. What about vocation?
Vocation is where your skills and talents naturally shine.
It's something that comes easily to you.
Yeah, what you're good at.
Yeah.
What you might even do for free because you enjoy it so much.
Okay. And lastly, profession.
Profession is how you bring it all together.
So it's how you take your passion, your mission, your vocation, and turn it into something that supports your life.
Right, and allows you to share your gifts with the world.
So it's not just about getting any job to pay the bills.
It's about finding a way to align your work with your Ikigai.
It's about finding that sweet spot where it doesn't even feel like work anymore.
Exactly, because it's an expression of who you are and what you love.
And the book talks about these Ikigai artists.
Oh yeah, those people who find so much purpose and joy in their creative pursuits.
Yeah, and it doesn't matter if they're getting paid for it or not.
Right, it's the act of creating that brings them fulfillment.
And I think that's a really important point, because Ikigai isn't limited to our careers.
It's about finding those activities, those moments that make us feel alive and engaged.
Whether it's through our hobbies, our relationships, our community involvement.
Exactly, it's about infusing every aspect of our lives with that sense of purpose and joy.
So how do we actually do that? It still feels kind of big and abstract.
Yeah, it can. So the book suggests starting with self-reflection.
Okay, so take some time to really think about those big questions.
Exactly. What are your passions? What are your values? What are you good at? What kind of impact do you want to make?
And don't be afraid to really dig deep.
Yeah, journal, meditate, talk to people you trust. Explore those questions from all angles.
And remember, there's no right or wrong answer. It's about figuring out what truly resonates with you.
Yeah, and don't be afraid to experiment either.
So try new things.
Yeah.
Step outside your comfort zone. See what sparks your interest.
You might be surprised at what you discover about yourself.
And your Ikigai might not reveal itself overnight.
It's a journey, not a destination.
Exactly. So be patient with yourself.
And stay curious.
And one thing we haven't talked about as much is resilience.
Ah, yes. Because let's face it, life isn't always easy.
Right. There will be challenges, setbacks, disappointments.
And that's where resilience comes in. It's that ability to bounce back from adversity.
To keep going even when things get tough.
Exactly. And the book takes it a step further with this concept of anti-fragility.
Yeah. Remind us what that means again.
So resilience is about bouncing back, but anti-fragility is about actually getting stronger because of the challenges you face.
Okay, so how do we cultivate that? How do we become anti-fragile?
The book gives a few suggestions. Diversify your income streams. Don't put all your eggs in one basket.
Okay, spread the risk.
Exactly. And take calculated risks.
So step outside your comfort zone, but be smart about it.
Right. And the third suggestion is to eliminate things that make you fragile.
So like bad habits or toxic relationships.
Exactly. Anything that drains your energy and holds you back.
So it's a combination of being prepared, being bold, and being mindful of what's not serving you.
Exactly. And remember, building resilience and anti-fragility is a continuous process.
It's a mindset shift.
Yeah, it's about embracing challenges as opportunities for growth.
Instead of seeing them as failures.
Exactly.
And I think that's a really powerful message to end on.
It is.
Finding and living your Ikigai isn't about achieving some perfect state of happiness or success. It's about embracing the journey with all its ups and downs.
It's about finding those moments of joy and purpose, big and small.
And using those moments to fuel our growth and evolution.
To become the best versions of ourselves.
So dear listener, as we wrap up this deep dive into Ikigai, we want to encourage you to keep exploring, keep experimenting, keep asking those big questions.
And remember, the journey itself is the reward.
It's in the seeking, the discovering, the becoming that we truly find our Ikigai.
Thank you for joining us on this exploration. We hope you leave feeling inspired to create a life that is truly your own. A life filled with purpose, joy, and that unwavering pursuit of your unique reason for being.